when we have, okay. Everything I said earlier, and I have to repeat again. Anyway, it's almost like a body with no mind, particularly to record. All right, so it's ascertaining reality mm, with respect to oneself, with respect to the nature of things. That's very important, right? Unless you are fully aware, the, not, I wouldn't say exactly fully aware for everyone, but if you are very intelligent and capable and have a lot of capacity for knowledge and very good memory power and very good resource, then that's you may have to be fully aware, but basically generally quite aware of reality. Now, religion entails faith in the Buddha, his teachings, his followers, not all followers, okay, genuine followers, who prescribe to his teachings, or, okay, let's say for the time being, that is supposedly meant to lead us to enlightenment. Now, why do we need, why do we need, sometimes I don't want to use the word religion, okay, and let's say, why do we need some kind of a meditative practice in our life? That's one thing. Again, why do we need complicated philosophy? Life could be simple. Why can't we live simply? Well, if nature is not complicated, we don't need complicated philosophy, okay? Then nature is actually very complicated. We have gross natures, subtle, very subtle natures. Scientists can go to subatomic levels, even go beyond that. So if that is the nature, then our own approach to spiritualism or practice, Dharma practice, should also conform with that nature. You cannot be delusional in your practice, thinking, oh, I'm doing something, it will lead to something blindly. Uh, and so this, I'm not referring to other religious practices. Okay, I don't know much about other religious practices. So in that respect, I have, in a way, no authority to represent them. But I have studied Buddhism. So the way it is done in a Buddhist practice, that I think I can speak. So confirming your understanding of yourself, uh, the nature, with what actually is there in nature. That is very important. So because of that, psychology, understanding your mind is not just one entity. It has various facets, functions, causes, result, dichotomy, mm, similarities in terms of their functions, oppositions in terms of their functions. So if you understand the mind system properly, then truly it's a wonderful thing to know Dharma, because you can handle your mind. That's such a gift. Real happiness, real Buddhahood, or is not attained outside, it's attained within. You have all the resources, but you just need the right knowledge to explore those resources. Yeah, right knowledge, right guidance, and from a religious point of view, proper blessings. So ascertaining reality is very important. For example, if a doctor needs to treat a patient, he or she cannot just give medicine randomly. Okay, what is the immediate condition that is there, physical, mental, and then what can be done to treat the symptoms first? That's a gross illness. And then later, what is leading to those symptoms? What are the causes of those symptoms? Mm. And if it's like kidney malfunctioning, what is leading to kidney malfunctioning and so forth. You go into more detail and finally address the very cause. It may not be one cause, okay? Multiple causes condition. I think that's very important. When something goes wrong, we have a tendency to blame just one cause or multiple causes. Also, if something goes wrong, even if physically there isn't anything wrong with you, if you're mentally disturbed, you tend to think the disturbance comes from outside. Yeah. The outside information, how you treat it within, process it within, it's up to you. If you don't have the proper knowledge to treat outside knowledge properly, it negatively impacts you. It may not impact everyone in a similar manner, but it's negatively impacting you. So there's something there that needs to be done about yourself, isn't it? You're so ascertaining reality means okay. When we think of me, particularly I like this, I hate this. We have this thought of me as if it's somewhere within our body, particularly if it's strong hatred or strong affection or lust or love somewhere here. So when you love somebody and want to send a message, you have what is the sign of heart. So we basically tend to think when you like somebody, the liker is somewhere here. Sorry, here. So, but me and my body, we make a distinction. So I and my body, we make a distinction. So we have this idea that self or I, me, is not completely same with the body, because me, my body, I, my body, me, my mind, as if I am the owner of the body, as if I'm the owner of the mind, which is of course true. So we make a distinction between me and my body. And when we say I like this person, we are not thinking your body likes it. Okay. We're simply thinking I like this person. I hate this person. I, somewhere. Oh, my mind is very bright. My mind is very dull today. Me and my mind. We make a distinction. So in our, and this works in a world. Of course, we have our body, my body, his body. We have to make a difference. Uh, we make demarcations, and it is completely right. But when we think of me, there are sometimes mm, instances where we feel a very concrete sense of I, as if it's very tangible, pointable, concrete on its own, as if it can exist uh, without the body, without the mind. So these are real philosophy, because we feel like that, the presence of a concrete self. So if a concrete self exists, then our thought of a concrete self is proper. Right? If a concrete self doesn't exist, then our thought of a concrete self is distorted. There's something wrong with that thought. So, like a mathematical formula, if the formula is wrong from the beginning, no matter how many good things you do, you'll never get the right solution, mathematically speaking. Uh, so, mm, so the concept, the uh, there are two kinds of realities. One which is very obvious to all of us, right? See, I'm no, Sonam. This is Mary, this is Carolyn, and so forth. We all know that. And then we are all humans. We also know that. So some kind of reality which is evident to all, unquestionable. We preserve that. Okay, we are not attacking that. When we speak of emptiness in Buddhism, we are not destroying that. We're preserving that. Okay. While preserving that reality at the appearance level. But of course, we all know that whatever appears does not necessarily need to be the reality. Some appearance could be deceptive. For example, if you are in a car, or I think the best example is I don't know how often you travel in trains in the West, but in India, when I used to travel in trains, and if your train is traveling very fast, running very fast, you look outside, the trees seem to be running. Everyone will have that perception, but the trees, no, they're not running, right? And also in Indian Mela, what do you call Mela? Festivals. We have some kind of
Right.
wheel that rotates, and if it rotates very fast, even though there are spokes, we don't see the spokes. We tend to think it's just a flat circle rotating, but it's there. It's not a flat thing there. Anyway, so and then when you have some conditions, for example, I think last year, uh, I had this I according to Tibetan medical condition, uh, some wind imbalance. Okay, subtle wind imbalance, whereby when I was sleeping like this, rotating, my room was rotating, and I thought, okay, well, psychology could sense that this is not the truth, because I was lying and I'm not spinning, so there's no risk to my body, despite the fact that the appearance is I feel like the whole house is spinning around me. But later I asked a young Tibetan lady, a doctor, if it can be treated, what is wrong? And she said it's subtle wind energy and jaundice combined. Then I went to one doctor, issued, and he's actually very good. It's legendary. So when he was in Mungot, I think people used to get his appointment, they used to sleep outside the clinic because there's so many people who wanted to see him. And so they shifted him to Dharamshala, and then his popularity somehow vanished. But some people who knew him actually are very happy with his uh, treatment. So I went to see him. And he gave me 10 days of medicine. And then on the day one, when I took the medicine, their symptoms, the spinning stopped. And then I took it for another 2 or 3 days and then didn't take the rest. So you see, so okay, it's not about the doctor, but just sharing. Uh, so head spinning. When my head is spinning, there's something's wrong there. Okay, Western medicine may have another explanation. I don't know this, but when my head was spinning, I felt like my house was revolving around me, which was not true. So not every appearance, even when we determine reality at the appearance level, not every appearance is true. Okay, given that those appearances which are true, not deceptive. Now, based on such appearances, true appearances, we have a tangible reality, reality that we can see, reality that we can hear, we taste, touch, five senses. And then another, based on what appears, then we have our own projections of things as beautiful, ugly, good, bad. All right. Now, depends on the color, the shape, whatever your idea of beauty or goodness is. Accordingly, again, we have some another form of reality. These are all very relative to your own society. So now that reality, we are not challenging that. But again, it's not not that's not the only reality. We have our thoughts, mind. And now whether the mind is physical or not, that's very important. Modern scientists, some uh, infatuate with this idea that mind is some kind of something that you can find or within your body. The grosser minds, yeah, they are connected. The functions of our gross minds at the grosser level, completely connected. Wouldn't say completely, but um, to quite a large extent connected with the mind, with the brain. But if it's entirely the brain, then if the brain becomes dead, or if someone dies, the brain entirely dies, right? We can cremate the brain, put it to fire, cremation. Then we wouldn't find anyone. Now, if that is the case, if someone is cremated, it's almost like there is no continuation of his mind because except that it will be a substance on the earth in the form of soil, dust, and so forth. Otherwise, there is no continuation in the form of consciousness. But then we have instances of people remembering their past life, even if they were cremated. I don't want to run to other instances that I have heard. My own younger brother, he was cremated now on village, but he is again born. He recollects his past life, says his name of his past life, recognizes his wife, a 3 or 4 year old boy calling a 27 or 8 year old lady my wife. How does that sound? So, if you really want to establish reality, you have to be truthful. You cannot be arrogant. Okay, saying, "Oh, I have authority. We are scientists. Whatever we say, we can decide, and the world has to listen." No, you have to give an answer. Why? Why he is calling one lady his wife, not every lady first? Why is he able to recollect being that person, my younger brother, recognizing his the parents of his past life as his own parents, recognizing his siblings, everyone. Yeah. So in India also there are. These are not concoctions by Buddhists or Hindus, okay? Uh, so these are things you really need to focus on. Not everyone who dies will be born as humans, particularly humans on this earth. But there are some who will be born as humans again in this world. Not everyone who will be born back again on this world will remember. It depends how strong the memory of the past at the time of death was for some. But there are some instances. Now, how do you answer? In the case of my younger brother, when he was cremated, the brain particles that were put to fire, they flew into the air, got carried away by air, and went into the womb of his mother, new mother. Do we have to say something like that, or and how far? How much of possibility in that happening? I have attended conferences with scientists. They all try to explain mind in terms of the brain. There's a Tibetan saying, when the ghost lies in the east, throwing the ritual cake in the west is not proper. If the ghost lies in the east, then the ritual cake to abuse the ghost, we have to uh, throw it in the east, not in the west. You know, if the mind is not necessary in the brain, then if you only study the brain, you will never get the proper knowledge of mind. All right. Anyway, they're still glued to that idea. Mm. So that's something to determine. Okay. If if you if you can actually properly uh, understand the concept of reincarnation, then Buddha Dharma becomes very relevant. Very relevant. People who have studied Buddhism, practice Buddhism, without really trying to establish the concept of reincarnation is a reality for them, they are the ones who may fail because their concept of reincarnation is based on just faith, not a proper understanding, not uh, an apprehension that gives conviction, that give it's not a conviction for them. It's just a faith based on social uh, uh, influence. Okay, so that is not a proper way of believing in reincarnation. You have to really find out what is the nature of mind. If the nature of mind is not physical, if mind can be separated from the body and still retain and continue, oh, then okay, doesn't matter. It's so mind continues. It's non-physical. Why should I bother? Because you have a mind. You should bother. Whether we bother or not, we still have a mind in this life. Okay. In the past, whether we bother, we have a mind. And then we have to deal with our mental uh, experiences individually. And along with this mental experience, we have what we call a body that also creates either joy or suffering for our mind. So it's sometimes when we mm, explain Buddha Dharma to others, people tend to think, oh, they are doing that because they have more interest in spreading the Dharma. It's not related to me. Many people have this impression. Oh, they are coming for dollar to spread Dharma. They don't, and it's something that I don't really need. People have this impression. Now, if what is spoken in the Dharma teaching, if it's true for you, then you will have not that kind of thought. So we tend to think, okay, truth of suffering is there. But if you don't relate the truth of suffering for yourself, through yourself, then there won't be uh, a resolve to practice Dharma, resolve, a commitment to practice Dharma, a commitment to pursue the path of Dharma, a commitment to study Dharma. But if you think, oh, this is something I need because it's speaking about my reality. Actually, when we speak of the 12 dependent links, it's actually the Buddhist concept of evolution. How you evolve, don't you want to know? Then, after life stops, whether there's a continuation or not, isn't it your business? These are these are actually serious questions because we tend to take the teachings very lightly. Oh, when we say the 12 links of dependent origination, self-grasping, ignorance giving rise to actions and giving rise to birth. If we just think of other sentient beings generally, It will not touch you. You'll not be bothered. But if you think, oh, I have this ignorance, and because of this ignorance, I have been committing good and bad actions continuously. And so these actions will determine my birth in the future. And the good actions will be rewarded because, and the bad actions I'll have to suffer. Then it becomes totally your own personal business, isn't it? So relating Dharma teachings to your personal experience, I think that's very, very important. Unless you are able to do that, you will not just you, we will never become proper practitioner at all. All right. So on one side there is philosophy. These philosophies are not to uh, prove one's superiority over others. Definitely not to challenge others. It's to challenge our own emotions. We are thinking of an independent I, tangible, something concrete. Does such an I exist or not? If it doesn't exist, what we are thinking is wrong. And so we are delusional in many of our actions. So this is your business. So so establishing the reality of reincarnation is very important. Because if reincarnation exists, if the mind continues after birth, after death, then the experiences that it will have in a new body, what determines those experiences? Are they just random? If it's random, then can we have mango from apple seed or anything from? So there is a law there outside. Now, if you know how to apply this law to your mind, then that's karma. Without causes and conditions, no experience, physical or mental experience, will arise. From no causes, no result. Then causes, result mainly arise from the homogeneous causes, causes with which they share same trait. So good actions, good result. Bad actions, bad result. Good thoughts, good result. Bad thoughts, bad results. That's not Buddha's imposition. That's his discovery. Law of karma is not Buddha's prescription or his order, nor is he considered a creator. Again, the concept of creator. That's something quite difficult to address because many of us are connected to this belief for a very long time in this life. And so, but if you really want to find out the truth, no matter what, it doesn't mean uh, you are being critical of those who prescribe to the notion of a creator. It's just ascertaining things for yourself. Okay, you don't have to be outspoken, but for your own personal belief, it's important to explore the concept of creation. There was a creator. Before that, there was nothing there. The creator created the universe, and then he created him beings there, and those two beings, they created further siblings, and so we came into being. Okay, in a way, it's for young minds or immature uh, children. This looks like quite convincing. Now, to a mature mind, who is philosophical, and a mind that goes for proof, logic, consistency. What created? If there was nothing there, the universe consists of particles, solid things, liquid, air, very, very gross things like the earth, very big, huge, physical, water, air. But these so solid things, if they came from nothing, then just because the creator thought, okay, I'll create something like that, he imagined things like that, it came into being. Oh, causes, no, result arising from the homogeneous, okay, or compatible causes. That's the law there. Apple arising from apple seed, not from mango. That is perceivable. So if that is nature, then without from nothingness, that creator or God created something that is, I don't know. Sometimes I will, if that is a fact, why create this mess? To test us. Why need to test us with lots of sufferings? These are the answers. Okay? Why create such a mess? Or to test us on earth, to represent us on earth. To whom? To represent God on earth. To whom? Representation can be done better without suffering, isn't it? Without aging, without death. So anyway, anyway, these are just very, for me, very cheap answers. So these things are, in a way, maybe people might think, oh, they are trying to impose their opinions on others. They are trying to impose their uh, uh, philosophy on others. They are trying to spread their own dharma, or they want to dominate others through their own religion. These are the ideas of very people who are so glued, attached to their own small ways. I feel like that because basically, if someone is coming there to question your philosophy, if your philosophy is very strong, why not debate? Why not have a open debate where you don't push one another forcefully, but you convince one another through reason? That is not happening. Another risk is, oh, he or she will convince my students and I will lose my students. And if I lose my students, I will lose my money and off. These are the, yeah, not because uh, there's a huge risk there. So very small-minded people are not open to discussion, but people who really care to find out the truth, and they are actual recipients of Buddha Shakyamuni's teachings. We inherited the teachings from our ancestors who thought, okay, our own uh, ancestral religion form, which is like shamanism, okay, uh, was not good enough. And although Tibet was able to invite Buddha Dharma and Buddha's teaching has spread in Tibet, I think to some extent I can say more than it has spread in India very extensively. But despite that, we had a lot of oppositions too. So some Tibetan Lama thought, okay, the only way now to subdue this opposition is to implant Buddhist views in their faith. So porn, if you look at the old Tibetan religion porn and the philosophy they now mm, adhere to, it's almost no difference between Buddhism and porn nowadays. So it is said that past masters they introduced Buddhist philosophy into the teaching of other tradition uh, without actually attacking the teachings, saying, "Oh, you're uh, Dumba Sherpa. They say it's the one who introduced the main teacher or the main teacher like Buddha for the Bon tradition uh, came on this earth more than 30,000 years before. So there is their notion. And so now they have like sutras. But if you really look at the sutras, mm, stark similarity between the sutta that we have translated from Sanskrit, except some terms. So it is said very cunningly, Tibetan masters changed the terms of like, instead of Buddha Shakyamuni, Dumba Sherap's name was put there. And instead of Buddha Shakyamuni's other retinues, new names were put there, consistent with the Bon faith. So it is that Buddha Dharma has mm, become mixed with Bon tradition, in meaning practices of smoke offering, flying, prayer flags, they have now become part of Buddhist practice, which didn't exist in India. And then Chöpyalade means, and Dharma has become mixed with Bon means. Now the Buddha Dharma, based on the concept of Four Noble Truths, the True Truths, the 12 dependent links, and the 9 stages of path in uh, Dzogchen tradition. These are all there in Bon tradition. So anyway, so my point is we have had a lot of resistance in the past. Yeah. So because we are attached to everything that is our own, and we don't want intruders. Nobody wants outsiders. So because of that, small-minded people will not appreciate these kind of debates. But if you really want to make the best of your mental capability, then these are very important points to consider. All right. A digression. One of the main reasons why I think Donald Trump won the election is immigration, isn't it? He didn't want illegal immigrants flowing into America in to, in hundreds of thousands, which is, of course, I think understandable, very much understandable. That's the main thing why he lost. No, he won. Kamala lost. Although I think she was a better candidate, much a better person. Anyway, that's not my business. I'm living in India. I'm staying in India. Okay, so now these are things because there are some new people who have come to our class. I think recently 3 people. So because of that, although these are not new talks to you, I thought this kind of introduction is important. So anyway, when I explain these texts or when Shantideva wrote these texts, it's based on the concept of karma. Given that the concept of karma holds true, given that the concept of reincarnation holds true, given that there is a possibility of enlightenment for all of us. Enlightenment means, like as Buddha, we assume to be, we consider to be enlightened, completely free from all kind of sufferings. We also have the same ability like the Buddha. All right. So within these framework, you have to understand these stanzas. Okay. Otherwise, Victoria, sorry, but your name, we have one from uh, Belarus. So yeah. Otherwise, you may get lost what this means because you are totally new to Buddhist ideas and so forth. So given that we have the concept of reincarnation, mind staying continuously, it's almost like what is cycle. Okay. Mhm. And so the basic framework within which these teachings are being spoken, if you don't understand that, these teaching will not make will not be meaningful to you. So because of that, I gave you a brief introduction. Okay. Now, stanza. 30th, triggered by delusions. Delusions means basically wrong thoughts, okay, which are rooted in distortion of reality, uh, mistaken views, okay, mistaken perceptions leading to mistaken views, uh, leading to mistaken thoughts about things, mistaken actions. All right, so triggered by delusions. All right, whatever afflictions of body, speech, and mind that I've committed against the three jewels. Now, again, three jewels mean Buddha uh, and Dharma, his teachings. That's ordinary Dharma. The real Dharma is the attainment of cessation of the afflictive emotions, suffering, the mental quality within the Buddhas. Uh, that is basically the mental quality of having completely abandoned or eliminated the delusions. That quality of cessation, that's real Dharma. And we will also be able to attain uh, Dhamma, such Dhamma within ourselves. All right. So that's real Dharma. To get to that Dharma, we have to study how to get there. And so the texts, the teachings, without those teachings, without the text, the teachings, we will not be able to get there. So the teachings are ordinary Dharma. The real Dharma is what we will generate within us later as we practice the scriptural teachings. Okay. So there are two kinds of mm, Dharma: scriptural Dharma, realizational Dharma, realizational Dharma, a Dharma of realizational Dharma, and scriptural Dharma. Scriptural Dharmas, we study them, contemplate on them, meditate on them, and eventually there will be experiences generated within. That's real. So we are aiming for that. That's a real refuge. What we will actualize later. So whatever Nieba tu me kyunche be deba tagi chi, shidu me seki. Daga kunjo sun tane pa, nyomo gunyo lu danga, ye gunyo. So whatever affliction means whatever harm, okay? It could be negative thoughts. It could be abusive words. It could be physical action, destroying Buddha's statue, destroying text, and so forth, okay? So triggered by delusions, my own misunderstanding of reality, whatever affliction of or harm of body, speech, and mind that I have committed against the three jewels, okay? Parents and spiritual masters and others. So basically any sentient being, but here particularly the three jewels, because any negative actions directed against the three jewels are very heinous in terms of severity of the karmic consequence. Karma committed against the three jewels, the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Karma committed against your parents, your spiritual masters, and then others mean Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Basically, karma committed against any sentient being, that's bad karma, negative karma. Okay. But particularly, these are the ones that can have uh, very negative, enormous amount of sufferings in the future. So because of that, if you're if you're a Buddhist practitioner, you have to be very careful how you treat the three jewels. Mm. Then your parents. When the parents, they're the very body that we have. Okay, it came from our parents. Mm. And now, particularly nowadays, they have a choice whether they want to have a child or not. So they brought us into this world. And then they could have abandoned you after birth. No, they didn't do that. They took care of you, and particularly if it's a mother, mm, the moment a child is born from then onwards, oh, her main concern is the child. When maybe she might be cautious of how she looked in the past, but after the child is born, she didn't really take much about herself, her looks. Main concern is the child. If they go to markets, what to buy for the child? If they cook something, what is good for the child? Every thought is preoccupied by the concern for the child. So because of that, when we remember the kindness of sentient beings in our practice of Buddha, sattva, or compassion, uh, we have to look at sentient beings as having been our mother and recollecting the kindness of mother. So, in terms of kindness bestowed upon us, uh, okay, worldly kindness, basically, uh, parents are incomparable. All right. But if some people have some issues with parents, uh, you shouldn't hold grudge. Now, even if they're meant to care for you, if they are not able to care for you properly, it's because of limitations, their own mm, crisis that they might have to deal in their own life, their own inability to manage themselves. So, because of that, some people have told me uh, seeing sentient beings as having been your parents is very difficult because I don't have good experience with my parents. Well, this is not the only parents that you have. You get other sentient beings taken care of by parents. I I don't have experience with my mother after 7. Okay, I lived in school from then onwards. So I don't really recollect much about my mother's kindness. Although I don't remember her being so evil to me, but not much of recollection. But I'm able to practice uh, the, do the practice of compassion by looking at other sentient beings as having been mother, because I take examples of multiple mothers whom I observe taking care of their children, even animals. Okay. So you don't have to begin with your own parents, okay? All right. And then another thing is we all want to be happy, don't want to suffer. All right. So far, we have only been emphasizing on our own personal well-being, even at the expense of others. We have been prioritizing ourselves alone, and because of that, we have been suffering. So from beginningless time until now, we have been doing that. What have we achieved? Not much. So if you want to continue to suffer, just think like you ordinarily think. If you want to do something differently, then start by respecting other sentient beings. Start by caring for other sentient beings. So step by step, compassion will become quite easy. If you respect irrespective of the other person, whether that person is rich, young, poor, educated, uneducated, or human even, as long as there is sentient who wants to be happy, you respect that and try your best. So slowly, systematically, uh, as you practice being kind to others genuinely, okay? Not maybe in the beginning it's difficult to be kind, uh, genuinely kind, but at least you try it slowly, and then it become naturally natural. And then as you gain more experience in this compassion, you will start appreciating the thought of compassion. All right. For example, people that I'm close to in this world nowadays are not my parents, frankly speaking, not my brothers. Um, People who have been strangers in the beginning, whom I get to know and understand one another. And so, if we open ourselves sincerely to others, but of course, applying wisdom is very important. We have so many kinds of people in on this earth, so you cannot be like foolishly compassionate, wisely compassionate by discerning. Compassion has to be practical, and at the same time, you have to protect yourself. Given all those things, if you genuinely, despite whatever they are, if you genuinely wish good for them, then you look at the experience of being kind to others. It will make you much calmer. It will make you more optimistic. Uh, you are more confident because you have nothing to hide. You are not being selfish. Everyone, if you are not selfish, people will love you naturally, genuinely. But if your affection for others is uh, has a hidden agenda, people will know. So if you are genuinely good to others, mm, I always think being kind to my cell phone, all those things, okay, they don't know how to reciprocate affection. But if you are kind to other sentient beings, even animals, they know how to reciprocate. Lions, tigers, these are actually carnivores, right? But there are instances of people raising them from childhood. And then these animals don't eat. Maybe if they became insane, that's another matter. But usually they really show affection to the one who raised them. So animals, even animals, they have capability to appreciate kindness. So if you open yourself to others and slowly through your own experience, no matter whatever others' actions against you may be, you will learn to take them into your stride and not nurture any grudge against others. And uh, enjoy this state of relaxation, kindness, despite others' negative actions. So, kindness basically, of course, it's in relation to others, but the first beneficiary of compassion and kindness, if you know how to do it, is you. Your mind will always be happy if you are genuinely kind to others. No regret, even if others do not appreciate your kindness, no regret. You did your best. Karmically speaking, there's nothing to fear. All right, so parents, they are actually the pinnacle of kindness to us, uh, worldly kindness. Okay, so because of that, any action, negative or good actions uh, committed in relation to them, uh, um, could either be a very good karma or very negative karma. In Tibetan tradition, we have a saying: if you're kind to your parents, then if you live long, mm, in your twilight days, you'll be very happy. We seem to be consistent. So here in Asia, I think I cannot say for all Asian countries. I've been to Nepal, India, and Tibet. We have a tradition of being kind. I mean, remembering the kindness of parents. I'm sure this has been the case in other countries in the past. It's fading away because of too much emphasis on materialism. So that is not good. If you have parents, you should always take care of them. Okay. It's when you are unable to take care of yourself, they raise you to care of you. So as they age and if they are not able to take care of them, if you don't take care of them and only run after money and worldly things, eventually you have to give all of this that you run after. Money, worldly fame, everything you have to give up. And by doing so, you'll never be happy mentally. When your parents are there, are rejected, dejected. So that kind of thing I have seen somewhere in the West. I'm not happy with that tradition. I'm sure that was not uh, initially the tradition that people had in the past. I think it's something that happened lately. So I think that's something we really need to focus on with regards to our parents. One of my friends in what's that place? Um, uh, in America, he's a Tibetan, so he has a neighbor, a lady who is 80 something. So he told me the children come to see her only once or twice in a year. She has three children. So that's very sad. Yeah. And so in the winter, if there's snowfall, he helps her to remove the snow in front of her gate and so forth, but not her children. So that's very sad, isn't it? Okay, so they'll actually, if they do the same thing with the right now, they reject their own parents. Later, when they get old, their children will do the same to them. Do they want that to happen? Or you want to set a trend of taking care of your parents? So we are society dependent on one another. That's very important to care for your parents. You always feel good taking care of your parents. Triggered by delusion, whatever harms or afflictions of body, speech, and mind that I have committed against the three jewels, my parents, and spiritual masters and others, foiled by multiple negativities, the contemptible offenses that I, the sinful one, have committed to the guardians, I confess them to them all. Now you see, I, the sinful one, that is a word which may not relate well with modern people because we think we are great. So calling yourself sinful one, that's quite beyond our ego. It's hurtful, isn't it? It hurts the ego. Ideally, for the practice of compassion, you don't have to announce it loudly to others. But if you think I'm a sinful one, while remaining aware that the mind by nature is not negative, it's spoiled by afflictive emotions, which are temporary. But because we didn't know that, we didn't know what is good action, what is bad action, now we know. Now we can see that we are sinful. So to have a proper remorse or a proper repentance or proper confession, accepting your negative action, that is the first step. So in Kadamba tradition, in Buddhist practice, uh, in Buddhist traditional Kadamba practices, uh, the practitioners will always belittle themselves. It's not that they have no confidence, because so far we have been prioritizing self, me, I, was what we have gained. So far we have been neglecting our negative actions and never considering that they were bad. What have we gained? Now, reverse. Now, important thing is because we live in modern world, and so we have to conform outwardly with the outside world. What you feel inside, you don't have to tell others, announce them loudly. So these are the things that you do privately. All right. These are the things you practice privately. But so you don't have to go onto a stage and say, I am the sinful one. But when you actually do visualization of the Buddha merit field and do confession, then you have to, yeah, say, I, the sinful one. And basically, if you become accustomed to it, it feels great to say this, that I'm a sinful one. Because actually you are optimistic that I now recognize that I'm a sinful one and I need to purify my negativities, being truthful in front of the Buddhas. That's the first step. If you're not truthful by nature, how can you be a good practitioner? Being truthful is very important. So at least be truthful in front of the omniscient one, because you cannot, uh, even if you try to hide it, there is no purpose there. When you try to hide it and the person sees it completely, then you just show it, isn't it? It's better to do that. So, followed by multiple. So, one of the good qualities of sin, no, not one of the good qualities. The only good quality of sin is that it can be purified. That is the best thing. Okay. So, uh, for powerful antidotes, one is remorse, regretting, and if the action is something that you enjoyed, even if it's a negative action, uh, regretting may be in the beginning difficult. But if you have the concept of karma, multiplicity of karma once committed will not fade away on its own. So it will multiply, and then you will, even if it's a small karma, it will multiply, and I might have to suffer them in hell realms for lifetimes. So if you think of that, regretting a karma, negative karma is not difficult. So to regret negative karma, you have to think of the consequence, negative consequence in the form of suffering in hell realms, hungry ghost realms. You know, in America, you have an expression, if you're hungry, say, I'm starving. You're not really starving, but you say starving. So you cannot tolerate uh, hunger even for a few hours. Imagine now if you have to go hungry for, without dying, hungry for hundreds of years in the realm of hungry ghosts. And even if you starve, you cannot eat anything. So if that is going to be your situation, would you like that? So you see, depend thinking what you like right now. We don't want suffering. Even a few hours of hunger is intolerable. If that is the case, years of hunger without anything to eat, oh, that is really completely intolerable. We cannot tolerate even a spark of a fire. If you have to burn in hell, even for a minute, second, very intolerable. So thinking of these sufferings to be experienced in the future because of these negative actions, you can really dread the negative actions. For example, if you have committed uh, an illegal activity which you didn't know that was illegal, and now you may have to face the consequence. But you may have a short period during which you can rectify things. You'll do your best, right? To make sure that you don't have to suffer the a punishment, legal punishment, right? So like that. Right now, luckily we are humans, have the human capability to think more than animals, dogs, cows. No matter how good they are not intelligent enough to confess the negativities. They don't even know what is a negative action. So rejoice that you are human with capability to discern what is good, what is bad, particularly in terms of karma. And whatever is a negative karma, you should rejoice that before that comes, you have a chance to purify them. Then it feels great visualizing the Buddha, confessing in front of them. And you don't have to do that in public. It's better not to do that in public, privately. I always do my practices privately. Nobody needs to know what I'm doing. It's my personal business. How do I? Well, only my teachers should know how I'm doing it. Otherwise, I don't have to show what I'm doing, what I'm practice, what are my main practices. So this is completely private, okay? Yeah. And even if you're doing it in public, what you think mentally, it's very private. Is that it? Unless you open your lip. Well, ordinary people have no clairvoyance. They will never know what you are thinking. So you have to think in line with Dharma, right? And then if your social structure is such that it's a bit inconvenient to seem like a practitioner, then outwardly you don't have to pretend or you have to don't act as a practitioner. Act like any other being. But inside, be a practitioner. Mm, right. And you're aligning with reality. I mean, you're trying to confirm with social expectation outwardly. Inwardly, you're confirmed with Dharma. And what you are doing outside is not betraying them, but if you act like a practitioner, they feel uncomfortable. So to not to create discomfort in others, you act like them. But inwardly, because Dharma is very important, you do a good practitioner. You do your practice properly. That's how realized practitioners, even in our society, do that. Okay, so completely doable, and you are not uh, deceiving anyone. Deceiving means there has to be an ulterior motive, a motivation to harm others, but it's actually trying not to hurt others' feeling or make them judgmental or not to create uneasiness in others. Because in the West, people don't really, I mean, there are practitioners there, but limited practitioners. And many people think people with the concept of reincarnation, karma, these are a little stupid. I think so. So because of that, you don't have to show it openly, okay? But study whether it makes sense or not. Okay, so why should I purify my negativities? Because without purifying my sins, so okay, four antidotes, sorry. 님부터, 수인지부터, 땡기도, okay. Uh, Foundational power, power of foundation means if the action is committed in terms of the three jewels, then you take refuge in them, okay? To practice negativity in terms of, in relation to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha is to take refuge in them, all right? If if it's in connection with sentient beings, then practice compassion on them. So foundation, 땡기도, 님부kundichube도, niwaladobe도. Then regret, past actions. Now you cannot go back to the past and change the action. Whatever is bad action, good actions, rejoice. Okay. If it's bad action, you cannot do anything about that other than regret that. But if you truly regret that, then you don't do that again, right? Right. So regretting the past action by thinking of the negative consequence, karmic consequence. And so that will stop the past negative karma from multiplying. You feel regret. Uh, and then future negative karma if you make a commitment not to do them, that will stop uh, committing new karmas in the future. That's how you counteract negative karma. Okay. Past karma, regret. And then and make a commitment not to do it again in the future. So future karma to arise will stop because of this commitment not to do. So these two are very important. And then past karma, to purify that, there are different ways of doing that through prostration, recitation of mantra, recitation of sutras, Vajrasattva mantra. There are particular Buddhas like Vajrasattva Buddha, who is an embodiment of all the Buddhas put together uh, in a certain form, so that by doing that practice, you can uh, purify your negativities very fast. This is a story of a nun who medical doctors said she won't be able to walk in a matter of few months, in quite recently in Bodh Gaya. So she did 100,000 Vajrasattva, 100 syllable mantra through proper visualization and so forth. Today, without any medical treatment, is able to walk and run. So there are many cases like that. All right. When I get sick, usually, I also do purification. Of course, I eat medicine, but I do purification. All right. And then 35 confession Buddhas. I think I have translated that. Maybe it's easy to translate, so I can. So reciting it said recitation of even a name of one of these 35 purification Buddhas, confession Buddhas, could eliminate, purify negativities committed over eons. So very powerful. Okay. So the reason why I should, okay. All right. So foundational, foundation, power of foundation, power of regret, power of commitment, and then actual practice of purification. These are the four powerful attitudes. And there are so many experiences of purification one could experience, like taking shower or going to the loo and emptying your bowel. Uh, and then, yeah, there are so many. Uh, snowing, climbing up the mountains, flying in the sky. These are the signs of purification. Okay. And also seeing Buddhas in the uh, dream, seeing your Lama in the dream. These are all being in a garden full of flowers, or experiencing as if you are in an airport of like a celestial airport or like a Buddha realm. Okay. So without purifying my sins, I may die before that. So the purpose of purification is, if you don't purify your sins immediately, that could come at any time. So when you have the time to purify it before that comes. Without purifying my sins, I may die before that. So by whatever means I may be liberated from this, I request to be saved through the swiftest means possible. So by whatever means may I be liberated from this means, from this negative karma. I request the Buddhas to save me by purifying my negativities in the swiftest way possible. Okay. One of my friends, a hermit, he told me uh, one practice of purification is by offering mandala offering. Universe, we visualize them, and then offer. It's actually quite simple, but doable. Quite simple mm, practice. So he said he did 100,000 Mandela offerings. It's short, doable. And then I said, what kind of sign of purification did you have? And he said, this arm. In his dream, the arm was filled full of maggots the, that eat on flesh, and all were like dribbling away in hundreds, thousands. So he told me like that. I did one retreat many years back. I also have a similar kind of a dream, whereas my maggot came from my leg, the maggots, not, but he did the Mandela with his hand. So, so there are so many uh, signs of purification. So this unreliable law of death, whether things are done or not, as it does not wait for all, whether you are sick or not, this momentary lifespan has no certainty. That's very important. The life that we have, we may think, I have to save for my pension, for my twilight, and so forth. You may have all these dreams, but it could all end up tomorrow for all of us. It's not guaranteed we are going to live tomorrow. We may presume, okay, I'm quite healthy today, so I might live. But you cannot say you cannot be 100% sure that you'll be alive tomorrow. We all. So this momentary. Then it's in one sutra Buddha says 수습니다 뜬기 뛴다 총수. Um, the impermanence of the three worlds is like the clouds in autumn. 아, 더위끼지 칼랐다다. 총수. Mm. The death of sentient beings is like observing uh, a theatrical drama called Tata songs. Rivsar babjushin don yogni tirs, just like water falling from cliff continuously, not stopping at all. Um, very soon, everyone will die. 스스로입니다. 뜬게 저의 기지 칼았다다 송. 저의 쇠배 남걸로다다. And then transmission of life, changing our life of sentient beings is like the lightning in the sky. Very brief. In a very brief moment, new life will be taken. So, that's very powerful. So it is said past masters like Adisha used to go to riverbeds, riversides, on the side of the river, stay there, look at the water, continuously flowing, not stopping even for a moment. This is the case with us, our life. Whether the clock that you have in your room is clicking or not, time, the sun is all, the moon, the earth is always rotating, and we're always going. So His Holiness also used to give an example, observing, thinking of our heartbeat from the moment we were born, okay? We had a heart and it started functioning until now. It has been constantly beating. If it stops, we are finished, right? So these are not to scare us, but these we have to be mindful of what we have right now, the opportunity we have to practice Dharma, prepare for our future, and this opportunity could be lost very fast. because there's no certainty to life. So on one side, you cherish life, that you are alive, you're healthy. On one side, there's health, good health. Uh, you use it purposefully. Yeah. Okay. Okay, it's 8, 12, one or two questions, and then I'm done. One or two questions I said. No question. Very good. Lee, this unreliable law of death, whether things are done or not. It means you cannot say, oh, I haven't completed uh, some things that I need to do. So please, death, don't come to me. You cannot say that. So when death comes, sometimes, you may have to pay a lot of money to some people. Without paying them, you'll die. Sometimes you may have so many money left to be returned to you without getting them back, you'll die. So whether you have unfinished businesses or not, it doesn't wait. So the Lord of Death, mm, it's just a metaphor. In some people also, whether they, I don't think there is an actual Lord who comes and kills you or death, Lord. Uh, but at death, sometimes people have some imaginative, okay, some kind of a hallucination thought where people approach them and take them away. Not everyone has. So anyway, this unreliable Lord of death. Okay, this unreliable death. But in the text, it is what we call that Lord. It's not that someone has been appointed by a creator to kill all of us at death. No, it's just a metaphor. Okay, it's just an expression. Okay, whether things are done or not, whether you have completed things or not. Okay, it doesn't wait. Death doesn't wait. And whether you are sick or not, some people who are actually sick, they stay sick and stay very long. Some people who are very healthy, just without any reason, they just go. So no guarantee that you are sick and you'll die soon. And also no guarantee that you are healthy and you are going to live long. No guarantee. You may presume, okay? But it's not the health that is the only cause of long life. There are multiple causes. Main thing is your karma to live long. Leaving all, although I have to depart, without realizing this as such, for the sake of friends and for I have committed sins of different kinds. That's the main thing. We think of independent I, then form some group which we call as mine, some group which we call as them, then at individual level, at family level. Even within a family, we have some groups, right? I think big families may have some groups. Mm. And then in a small society, a community, and then in society, national, international level, me and I, that's the reason why we fight with one another and commit negative actions. So, for the sake of friends and for a genuine practitioner of compassion should not have what we call as foe or friends. But ordinary people, we have friends who help us momentarily, foes who may disturb us momentarily. There is no guarantee. Tu tasu gu lotu tobu yan, sik le yin sara namdo gu dotane sanyin tame ra nyering ziba denich. Kundan jambe yang, a great Tibetan master said, a close, trusted friend of today, uh, by exaggerating on few unpleasant words, will turn into the most hated foe of tomorrow. Nyering ziba den. So stop grasping at this itself is good enough to grasp at think people as close or distant. Of course, these what we call as close ones, distant ones, but not gives too much importance to close ones to the expense of committing negative actions against others. And then when it comes to experience the fruition, the negative karma of protecting your close ones and harming others, they will not experience your negative karma together with you. You have to experience your own negative karma. And if you do some negative karma for the sake of someone else, maybe some kind of affection is there, but there's worldly, very trivial reason for affection. So for that, if you do something negative, you are doing that negative action. So you'll be the one who will pay for that in the future. And so you will suffer it alone. So think like that. It's actually quite useful. Detachment doesn't mean you shouldn't have care and concern for others. Okay. But wise care, wise concern. Okay. Concern that take into consideration the risk that come, the karmic risk that is there for you yourself if you do something negative, just for some small reasons. And at the same time, if you truly care for others, you should care for the karma, for the future births, for their enlightenment, not just what is good for their mouth, what is good for their body, not just these small concerns. So far-sighted vision. There is a story in Jataka tale, one of the past lives of Buddha Shakyamuni as a Bodhisattva. At a time, there was someone who was testing the level of his generosity, and to test him, the person asked him if you could give his children and wife to that person, and Buddha as a Bodhisattva gave them. But later he was totally convinced. So people asked some questions here during Dharamshala, during review session. Didn't he have compassion for his own children and wife? At that time, I was not the one who was answering, okay, so I didn't get to say anything. But later I contemplate on that. Bodhisattvas, they have not just our ordinary mind to, to deal with situation. They have clairvoyance, the ability to peep into other people's mind, think what they are thinking, mm, ability to foresee future, ability to go, go back into the past. If you really realize what's going to happen tomorrow, day after tomorrow, you can say through clairvoyance. So a bodhisattva with clairvoyance momentarily can take the risk because he know in the long run there is no risk there. But that is quite incomprehensible for us. So my answer is Buddha as a bodhisattva at that time, if he had clairvoyance, ability to see the future, the mind of the person who was testing him, and could see what could happen in the future. No risk. It's not that he cared for the perpetrator or the one testing him and didn't care for his own children. No. And that was when he was practicing as a bodhisattva. Okay. Leaving all, although I have to depart without realizing this as such for the sake of friends and for. So leaving all means one day we have to leave everything, including your much loved near and dear ones. And again, you'll die and you have new loved ones who may be the uh, the the foe of this life. You never know. So so this rickety, uncertainty nature of our life, if you think in terms of lifetimes, friends and for this life, not necessarily always friends and for in the future, and then new life, new friends, new for continue. So, uh, in relation to them, if you just think of some small concern for them and do negative actions, that's very uh, foolish, right? And negative action against anyone should not be done at all because there is no gain for yourself, gain for them too. Momentary gain here and there, that's there, but that's very momentary. If you want to aim uh, for something good, why not aim for the best? So there's enlightenment for them, for yourself. But because we are so preoccupied by these small concerns, we are not able to see the bigger picture of enlightenment. Yeah. So leaving all, if you're able to think, I have to leave everything behind, it's actually very useful, practically. If otherwise you might think, oh, I'm going to live very long. I need money here and there, this and there. No guarantee that this will help you to live happily in the future. If you have more, people will target your wealth. People might want to steal your wealth. People might want to uh, deceive you of your wealth. No guarantee. If you have good karma, for example, when we Tibetans started out in India as refugees, we didn't really have anything. But now we have enough, more than enough actually. And if you have too much, and it's actually unnecessary. For example, if you have an apartment here, apartment somewhere, and several rooms in two, three, four apartments, you cannot, even in one apartment, if you have three bedrooms, you cannot sleep in all of them, you know. You cannot have a good sleep. If you try to sleep in all of them, then the size of our stomach is limited. If you try to eat a lot, it's going to destroy your health. So you need only to take what your body can eat. You need to eat what your body can take and what is good for your body. So need very limited. In my mind, in our mind, it's not my, we want a lot, as if we are going to stay alive for 500 years. No, we don't need. We just need enough to sustain basically. Now the social expectation, these are things, these are for worldly people. For practitioners, we don't care. So the four will come to cease, and so will the friends. Okay. So I too shall come to cease. Likewise, everything else will come to cease. Consideration of impermanence actually very, very happy, very, very useful. Very useful. It's reality. So confirm your thought with reality, and you'll be in the beginning because it's a new experience for us. So little hesitant. But as you get used to it, you become very comfortable. Otherwise, we are in denial, pretending. Even if it's a fact, we don't give way to fact. And then hope that things will uh, just we live in hope that things will be good for us, that we'll live long, that we'll live happily. We only have that thought. We don't prepare for difficulties in life. And when difficulties really struck, we're lost. But if you have the concept for impermanent, that's part of life. It happens to everyone. Eventually, I have to die. Accepting reality. Well, first ascertaining reality, then accepting it. Even physically it's a different matter. Yeah. But mentally, you will feel so comfortable in accepting reality and living your life uh, by confirming with reality. Okay. So the four will cease to come. You don't have to kill them, they will die eventually. So will the friends. No matter how much you try to protect them, eventually they will die. I too shall also die. So when the life here is very short, brief, you should use that judiciously. Not harming one another, not killing one another. It's very stupid to do that. But without these teachings, uh, we have no advice. When I was in school, I always used to fight with people, at least 2, 3 fights in a week. But to do all the children, I mean, boys in my home, the elders, I mean, I was placed in the most notorious school home at TCV. Okay, Home 25, known for notoriety. Okay, and so I was the smallest, and others were much older than me, so I have to take after them. They were, and also my father. Uh, he was a real hoodlum, so you always look after your father. So therefore, I did a lot of boxing, kick, all those kind of. And at that time, I didn't feel that those were stupid. Now, when I look back, that's very stupid. Anyway, but now I don't even pinch one person. Okay, unless if there is a uh, like a good agenda behind it, then I say some things that might hurt people for the moment to benefit them in the future. That's one thing. Otherwise, I don't harm anyone at all. And I also people beating one another except boxing. That's it's a game, so I just enjoy watching. In real life, if people actually are beating one another or bullying one another, I can't stand to watch that nowadays. Okay, the foes will come to cease, and so will the friends. I too shall come to cease. So likewise, everything else will come to cease. That's so true. Like experiencing a dream, whatever this and that I have indulged in will only become an object of memory. Everything that is past will not be seen. I have seen Tsongkhapa quoting this in his Lamrim text. So at that time, it's almost like it struck me like a lightning. Every good thing that I have in the past. Now it's just memory. It's just a thought. So like experiencing a dream, whatever this and that I have indulged in will only become an object of memory. So true. But people care about their legacy so much. I tell them, when you die, you will not even hear, remember the name in your future life of this, your name of this. And if you leave this life, even it's a good legacy, you will not uh, hear any praises people may say about you. One person, one Italian told me her reason, she said she was very afraid there may be no one to take care of her body if he dies alone. So her concern, very so much of concern. I said, I don't care. Because if I die, my mind leaves the body. So whatever happens to the body, my mind doesn't experience it. So don't really care. I mean, if you have such small concern, you have to think bigger. When the mind leaves the body is no more yours. And whether there are people to put it to fire or not, it will decay and it will become mixed with nature. It's just natural decomposition will happen. So anyway, like a dream, experiencing a dream. When you experience a dream, when in the dream, there's a saying. I mean, actually, this metaphor, an example given in one of the sutras about emptiness. Somebody met someone, a nice lady in the dream. Okay, in the dream, because he was dreaming, he didn't know that it was a dream. So he met, and they got married, had beautiful children, very happy, meeting a new life partner, and then getting married and enjoying life together, and then have beautiful children. Then slowly the children died. He was devastated. And the wife died. He was so devastated to the point of wanting to commit suicide. And then in that moment, he woke up. Neither the joy that he felt so true was real, nor the sadness that he felt so true was real. It was only in the dream. He didn't actually meet a, a woman, and he didn't really have children, and neither of them died. So that is actually, so if you are able to see that this is like a dream, then no attachment. And also no aversion. And also, because of no attachment, no sense of loss. So right now we have attachment to things because we tend to think this is so real, so concrete, everything. But just like, do you have attachment to your reflection of your face, the reflection of your face in the mirror? You have attachment here. I don't think. I mean, less attachment, right? At least we can say less attachment. Why? Because we know that even though it's your reflection, um, it's very flimsy, right? So it's not so concrete. So if a picture of you doesn't look good, you can tear it off. You can tear it off. So, but if the face doesn't look good, or you're a little devastated, because you tend to think the face is real, my face, there's an independent honor of this independent face. But if you look at the face, what exactly is the face? The two eyes are not the face. The nose is not the face. The mouth is not the face. Where is exactly the chin is not the face. If this is face, and everything else will be face, and how many faces you have? Again, so there is no concrete face there, no concrete eye. So if you actually abide in that uh, realization, actually it's very, very relieving in the long run. Okay. In the beginning, because we are so glued, so attached to our notion of self, my face, my body, and so forth, it's difficult. But as you get more into these impermanent things, seeing everything like a dream, and then contemplating the emptiness nature of things, there will be no attachment, no sense of loss. And if there is no attachment, then for that sake, you won't commit negative actions. So, like experiencing a dream, whatever this and that I've indulged in, will only become an object of memory. So, don't put so much weight on me, my family, my country, so much. No, of course, we have responsibility that apart. Don't be too obsessed because obsession bring forth, give rise to negative actions, right? So, if you're able to think everything as being impermanent, it's very useful to counteract negative actions, counteract delusions. So everything will become an object of memory. Everything that is past will not be seen. So actually, we usually think, oh, I have so. If you want to do sales practitioner, you have to the practice of daily yoga and so forth, or recitation of mantra or meditation. These are actually very practical things that you can do while walking, while eating, things that you can, and very impactful in terms of reducing your delusions, reducing your attachment, anger. And what is Dharma? Dharma is something that actually attacks the negative emotions, reduces the negative emotion. The real attainment of Dharma is when you attain the cessation of the delusions. That's real Dharma that you cultivate within you. Otherwise, you may retain this sense of me, independent me, and then count mantra to improve that me, I. No, not much use. So while in this very life, my many friends and foes have gone by, unbearable sins committed for or against them remain ahead. Very important to think. Many have died, but in relation to them, I have committed negative actions. These remain within my mind, the imprints, and then I have to suffer for them in the future. So warning yourself against not committing negative actions in relation to your near and dear ones. You have to take care of them, but make sure while you take care of them, you do not commit negative actions. You don't need to commit negative actions to take care of others. Right? Take care of them wisely. All right. So with that, I think, yeah, 8:37. So we'll meet next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, GesheLa. Thank you so
Most
much.
welcome. Yeah.
Thank you, GesheLa.
Thank you, GesheLa.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, GesheLa.
Thank you, Mary.
My pleasure.